The story of murder, rape, necrophilia, Jeffrey Dahmer, the America's most shocking serial killer. Hi guys, welcome to our channel. Before we continue, please click the subscribe button so you don't miss the updates. Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer is an American serial killer and sex predator. He is recorded to have killed 17 men and boys between 1978 and 1991. Other murders also occurred between 1987 and 1991. These murders involved rape, mutilation, necrophilia, and cannibalism. Dahmer was born in West Allis, Wisconsin on May 21, 1960. He was born to a mother named Joyce Annette and a father named Lionel Dahmer, an analytical chemist. After the birth of his sister at the age of 7, he became quiet and showed little interest or any kind of social interaction. He often cycled around his neighborhood looking for dead animals, which he dissected at home. This condition indicates that Dahmer is a psychopath. Dahmer started drinking in his teens and became an alcoholic by the time he graduated high school. In 1977, Lionel and Joyce Dahmer divorced. Dahmer attended the Ohio State University, but dropped out after a quarter, failing to attend most of his classes. His father had forced Dahmer to enlist in the U.S. Army. However, he was fired 2 years later due to alcoholism. He chose not to return to his father's house and moved to Florida. In 1982, Dahmer moved with his grandmother in West Allis, where he lived for 6 years. During this time, his behavior was getting more and more strange. Her grandmother once found a fully clothed male mannequin in her room. Dahmer had stolen it from the store. On another occasion, he found Magnum 357 under his bed. An unpleasant smell came from the basement. Dahmer told his father that he had brought home a dead squirrel and dissolved it with chemicals. He was arrested twice for distributing indecent photos, in 1982 and 1986. In her second offense, she masturbates in front of 2 boys. For his actions, he was evicted from his grandmother's house and lived in an apartment on the west side of Milwaukee. He worked as a laborer at the Ambrosia chocolate factory. Dahmer committed his first murder in the summer of 1978, at the age of 18. Her father was away on business and her mother moved in, taking her brother with her. Dahmer was left behind, alone. That June, Dahmer picked up a cyclist named Stephen Hicks and offered to have a beer with him at his father's house, planning to eventually have sex with him. When Hicks tries to leave, Dahmer beats Hicks to death. Dahmer buried the bodies in the backyard. 9 years passed before he killed again. In September 1987, Dahmer picked up 26-year-old Stephen Tuomi at a bar and killed him spontaneously. He later said he had no recollection of committing the crime. After Tuomi's murder, Dahmer continued to kill sporadically, 2 more in 1988, and another in early 1989, usually picking up his victims at gay bars and having sex with them before killing them. He kept the skull of one of his victims, Anthony Sears, until his arrest. While living in the apartment, he committed 4 murders to the end of 1990, and 3 from February to May 1991. In the early hours of May 27, 1991, 14-year-old Konorak Synthesomphone, the younger brother of the boy Dahmer abused in 1988, was found on the street, wandering naked, heavily under the influence of drugs and bleeding from the rectum. 2 young women from the neighborhood found the dazed boy and called 911. Dahmer chased after his victim and tried to take him away, but the women stopped him. Dahmer told John Balsazak and Joseph Gabrish, the police officers who were dispatched to the scene, that Synthesomphone was his 19-year-old girlfriend, and that they had an argument over drinking. Although the young woman claimed that the man was a child, the police had more faith in the information Dahmer provided. That night, Dahmer kills and dismembers Synthesomphone and keeps her skull for display. While checking Dahmer at his home several times, the police smelled an unpleasant odor, but they remained uninterested in investigating him. When the police arrived, Dahmer had just finished killing a man named Tony Hughes. In the summer of 1991, Dahmer killed about one person each week. He killed Matt Turner on June 30th, Jeremiah Weinberger on July 5th, Oliver Lacey on July 12th, and finally Joseph Branderhoft on July 19th. Dahmer got the idea that he could turn his victims into zombies, completely submissive and youthful sexual partners, and attempted to do so by drilling holes into their skulls and injecting hydrochloric acid or boiling water into the frontal lobe areas of their brains with a large syringe. Usually while the victim is still alive. Other residents of the Oxford apartment complex noticed a foul odor emanating from apartment 213, as well as the thud of falling objects and the occasional buzz of an electric saw. Unlike many serial killers, Dahmer killed victims of various racial backgrounds. Dahmer's crime saga ends when he tries to lure another man on July 22, 1991 named Tracy Edwards into his house. When he was about to be locked up, Edwards managed to fight back by hitting Dahmer in the face and kicking him in the stomach. Edwards managed to get the attention of passersby on the side of the road. The car was filled by Robert Roth and Rolf Mueller of the Milwaukee police. The two policemen searched Dahmer's house and found photos of the bodies. Inside the fridge, they found several human heads. The story of Dahmer's arrest and the inventory in his apartment quickly became famous. Several bodies were stored in vats filled with acid, and tools for the construction of wax altars and human skulls were found in his closet. Allegations soon emerged that Dahmer had practiced necrophilia and cannibalism. 7 skulls were found in the apartment. Human liver found in freezer. Dahmer was indicted on 17 counts of murder, later reduced to 15. Dahmer was not charged with the attempted murder of Edwards. His trial began on January 30, 1992. With overwhelming evidence against him, Dahmer pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. The court found Dahmer sane and guilty on 15 counts of murder and sentenced him to 15 life sentences, for a total of 957 years in prison, which was the maximum sentence available when Wisconsin abolished the death penalty in 1853. At his sentencing hearing, Dahmer expressed remorse for his sentence, his actions, and said that he wanted his own death. In May of that year, Dahmer was extradited to Ohio, where he pleaded guilty to the murder of his first victim, Stephen Hicks. Dahmer served his time at Columbia Penitentiary in Portage, Wisconsin, where he eventually declared himself a born-again Christian. Roy Ratcliffe, a local preacher from the Churches of Christ, met with Dahmer and agreed to baptize him. Dahmer was attacked twice in prison, the first time in July 1994. An inmate tried to slash Dahmer's throat with a razor when Dahmer returned to his cell from a church service in the prison chapel. Dahmer escaped the incident with superficial injuries. While doing cleaning work at the prison gym, Dahmer and another inmate, Jesse Anderson, were badly beaten by fellow inmate Christopher Scarver with a broom handle on November 28, 1994. Dahmer died of severe head trauma while en route to the hospital in an ambulance. Anderson died 2 days later of his injuries. What do you guys think? Please give THISVIDEO a thumbs up and give comments. Have a nice day.